Hi, and welcome to the best half hour for all fitness fanatics. It's the Barcast. I'm Salt.
And I'm George.
And we're right here with you, telling you all about all things bar for this season. Everybody's ramping up. Everybody's getting excited. No guest today. We're talking to the big man himself. Gorgeous George in the house.
The place to be.
Yeah. That's right. So BAR is going down November the 21st and 22nd.
Absolutely. And it's getting exciting, Salt. I've been watching all the different groups training. Obviously, we have our own group. Yeah. Watching the outdoor fitness, watching the mountain goats, seeing some other people who we never even knew were part of the whole kind of tribe. But everybody's training, getting ready for November. It should be a good weekend for sure.
Yeah, the training sessions that you have been putting on have really become popular, though, you would say?
Yeah, very much so. I think one of the things that happened last year that I discovered anyway was that people love the pop-ups.
Right.
But very often people came to the pop-ups wanting to just try some of the obstacles, try some of the challenges, without necessarily wanting to train on them.
Right.
But it still wasn't enough time. Right. You know, you see it once and then the next pop-up had a different set of obstacles or challenges. So this time we've been able to take the groups and break them into different ability levels. We have the advanced session and we have the kind of intermediate and beginners. And it's really more about, it's not like we're dumbing down the workouts.
At all.
Exactly. It's just that the advanced guys have been doing this for longer, so they're working the same workout practically, but just pushing it a little harder and going a little faster. And then the next block is one block behind.
Yeah.
So I've seen people come out and on the first week struggle with obstacles and get frustrated. And I'm not sure if I want to do this thing. And they're encouraged by their friends to come back. Yeah. And then by week 3, week 4, they've got it. And you don't really have that opportunity in a pop-up. So I think that's the other reason why the trainings have become so popular, because people have seen themselves improve from week to week on the skills, on the carries, as well as their overall fitness level. Like we were talking about one of our new tribe members is Kara. Yeah, I remember Kara came to, this is now her second block of training.
Yeah. So
she would have started doing this about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I remember her walking practically the whole course in St. John, because her riding fitness wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then we had a sim this week for that group. And she was in the top 5.
Yeah.
Full RX, full prescribed workout, nothing dumbed down, no modifications made, and she was there in the top 5 with the rest of her team. So that just shows if you come and you're consistent, the fitness will come.
Yeah, you just got to be interested, and you say, and consistent. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that you've been talking to us about individually, but I think everybody that's partaking in BAR, everybody that's listening to this Barcast today would be interested in knowing, and that's the concept of overtraining.
Right. Yeah, and it tends to happen more at this time, especially. This time where we're like 4 to 6 weeks out from BAR, and maybe somebody decided late that they're going to come and do the event in November. For whatever reason, maybe they were traveling beforehand or they never thought they'd be able to do it. They decided to jump in, and it's like, oh, shoot, I only got 6 weeks. I got to train every day, 3 times a day. But I'm trying to get across to people that the adaptations don't occur during the training session. They occur after. Right, the training is a stimulus for the change, and then your body adapts to the changes when you're resting and recovering. Oh. So if there's no rest and recovery, there's no adaptation, right?
It's not productive at all. Then.
It's not productive. So you kind of have to still be a little bit patient. I think 6 weeks is long enough that you can still come and you can get pretty major improvements over that period of time, but you're not going to get improvements if your joints are hurting, if you can't sleep at night because you're overtraining, if your nutritional status isn't there to support that volume of activity that you're doing. So I would say try to plan your week that some of your workouts complement each other.
I want to talk about that.
You have your intense workouts, and then you have workouts that are not as intense, that are actually helping you recover from those intense workouts. Plan and program rest days into your workouts so you can be stronger for the intense workouts, because the idea behind the intense workouts is that they should be at close to maximum capacity. Right. Those are the workouts where you're starting to figure out where your red line is, or your for the guy, the real nerds out there among us, your lactate threshold. Right. So your anaerobic threshold. Where can I get to the point where I'm starting to red line but not quite?
Right.
You know, you're not steady state anymore. Your body's right there, barely meeting its demands as far as oxygen is concerned. If I go any higher, I'm going to have to stop. Right. So you use the training sessions to start to figure that out. And then you recover with a recovery run or some sort of restoration workout in the gym. But if you're just banging every day,
going hard, yeah,
you're gonna find
you can be tempted to do that there. If you come out, especially you think that you are at a certain level, you come to a pump-up bar, you come to a training session, and you see somebody blazing. I got work to put in, and you want to try to put in all that work in one day.
Absolutely, and I see it. I see people come from other sports or other activities, and they're fit. But the thing with fitness is that it's all specific. Right. You know, I know, like, sometimes I've been training for one particular event, and then my guys from school said, "George, come and scrimmage, man. You in shape." Yeah. We got Harrison College has this battle of the decades every November. So, "George, come around with me." I'd be like, "All right, let me go and do a little scrimmage first to see if I could jump in with these men." And next thing you know, all my inner thighs hurt, my back hurt, my butt. Yeah, because it has to be specific, right? So you're training on it. I mean, there's some people who just have a very high level of cardiovascular fitness, and that will tend to get them through something like bar. Right. But they might not have the upper body strength. They might not have the grip strength. They might not be able to carry. So don't worry if you come that first couple of days and get your butt kicked a little bit. Figure out what the trainings are that fit into your schedule. And then work your own individual workouts around those trainings to help support whatever you think is your weakness, and to give yourself some time to recover in between.
Yeah, I oftentimes tell people, like, don't watch. You might say, "Oh, I am strong enough," but a lot of these things are also technique.
Correct.
All right. I want to talk to you about the rest days now. We got 7 days in a week. How many days should we be resting?
We need at least one full rest day.
We do nothing at all.
No, nothing at all. You might go to the beach. And now, again, depending on if you are, something we call it your training age, right? And the training age has to do with how long you've been training and at the intensity you're training. So somebody might be 40 years old, but they basically were busy since school with their career and everything, and they might have a training age of 3 years. Right. Just because they just started 3 years ago. And then you might have somebody who was running boats since he was 5 years old and never took a break. Right. Now, that person may be able to do 7 days a week if he's varying the intensities through the week. Right. But even for that person, we like to say, like, give yourself one full rest day a week. And for beginners, and even some intermediates, I like them to have 2, because their bodies just haven't adapted to that point yet, where they can maintain that kind of intensity without compromising their immune system, without compromising their joints.
So you're honestly, sometimes overtraining can break down your immune system, get sick.
Absolutely. If you think about it, and high intensity exercise tends to do it too. Right. The higher the intensity, the more compromised your immune system tends to become. So if you think about it, all of these systems, from your joints, your muscles, your thyroid, your integumentary system, your immune system, even your digestive system, these are all fed and supported by the same amount of food that you give your body. Right? So when you need more of those nutrients to recover your muscles and your lungs and your bones, there's less of those nutrients going towards your immune system and your lymphatic drainage system, et cetera, et cetera. So now they become compromised a little bit. So either you have to really be very, very careful, and you have to be very careful and consider how you're programming your nutrition over the course of the week. Or you should take a couple of days off in a week, for sure.
You mentioned recovery runs. That's something that's like a low intensity run. What's the benefit of that?
Yeah, so
I can answer that because I like to run, but run fast all the time. The concept of a recovery run is interesting to me.
So in the last maybe 10, 15 years, high intensity interval training has become more popular. Right. And the idea behind high intensity interval training is that, you get fitter quicker. Your shorter workouts, the intensity is higher. You get some of the muscular adaptations as well, and your body gets fitter. But one of the things that happens, there's 2 types of adaptations that happens from a cardiovascular point of view. The first one is that your heart gets stronger, so it's able to pump more blood to the working muscles. And then the other adaptation is that your muscles get better at extracting the oxygen from the blood. Now, the first adaptation, where your heart is getting stronger, that happens at the higher intensities. So interval training, boom, 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 do all them things.
Heart gets stronger.
Right, but at the lower intensities is where your body's getting better at actually extracting more of the oxygen from the blood. So your body builds up more of the fine blood vessels that go into the muscles. We call them capillaries. And then there's these little things that sit on the muscle cells that the exercise physiologists call mitochondria. And the mitochondria break down carbohydrates and fat to use for fuel for the muscles. But those adaptations happen at lower intensities. Okay. So you'll see that some of the elite endurance athletes, when they start their season, all they're doing is long, slow runs. Yeah. Because they're planning a 4-year cycle or a 1-year cycle. So they have
slow is relative, though.
Right, yeah, exactly. Them, right? But for them, they might be working at a 60% heart rate, where they feel like they could be talking the whole time, right?
Which is where you want to get to, because you may say slow run on somebody, but it's already run slow, but you may, what you call it still may be compared
Correct.
to the wrong person.
And it's about intensity for you.
Right.
If you go on that scale from 1 to 10, you might be down at 4 or 5. You should feel that you could carry on a conversation. Me and you out for a run, we could carry on a conversation, and we're comfortable. We feel like if we had to keep running, we could run like this all day.
Right.
We ain't getting at the point where I have to take a breath in between, in the middle of sentences, and if I go any faster, I'm going to have to stop.
Right. Okay. So now we're looking at registration. It's Barbados Adventure Race.com.
Correct.
It is the website to go and register for both singles and team.
Correct.
The reason I asked about that is because with the same thing with recovery and what's not, a lot of people of the beginners class and people that are new to bar were asking me about the recovery between the singles in the morning and the team in the evening. How much time recovery time would they have there?
Well, the good thing is that because we're a relatively, let's call us a small to medium enterprise at this point, right? We're not like a Spartan race where there's going to be 5,000 runners.
Right.
We tend to give those teams that have persons who run in the individual later heats.
Right, okay.
Right? So if you come in the morning and you do the singles event, your team will run in one of the later heats. Right. So you're going to have a good 6 hours to recover, right?
What should they be doing in that recovery time between the individuals and the teams, though?
Hydrating. Lots and lots of proper hydration, whether it's just water or something with electrolytes. Some sort of recovery meal,
like Gatorade or
something like a Gatorade, for example. Getting a recovery meal in, because now you have to replenish the energy that you use in the morning, plus prepare for what the energy you're going to expend in the evening.
Right.
I'd say don't try anything new as far as food is concerned.
Right.
Because you don't want to somebody give you a gel or something that you never hear about before. Works for them, and next thing you know, it upsets your stomach, and your stomach gurgling the whole way through the race.
Those are the things that's supposed to work out in training as well.
Exactly. Those are things that it's never on race day. Yeah. So find foods that are familiar, replenish in the morning, try and plan your meals through the day so that they're giving you time to get the nutrients in while allowing the food to digest so that you don't feel heavy and uncomfortable.
Interesting with the intakes of food as well, because the other morning I went to do mountain goats. Right. I was telling Amaris and Darren last week after we recorded their podcast that I have a in morning and eat pie. And both of them scoff at me. I'm not advising anybody watching this podcast or listening to go and eat pie before a long run. Right. It worked for me that morning, but it's something that I'm going to try to avoid going forward. Right. If the champions could tell me, nah, that's not a good idea.
Right. Yeah, pie might not be the best thing. But
that's all we're looking at.
Having said that, if I had a choice, if I had an absolute beginner and I had to give them a choice between pie and oats right before a meal, right before a race, I'm going to say go for pie. And I'll tell you why, because high fiber foods take longer to digest.
Right.
High fiber foods are foods you want generally, that's why we prescribe high fiber foods for people who are trying to lose weight. Right. Because they have this full feeling for longer. Right? But before a race, you don't want foods that are going to take long to digest. You want foods that are going to go assimilate quickly into your system and right into your bloodstream so you can use that energy. Otherwise, all that blood that should be in your working muscles is now in your stomach trying to break down these high fiber foods for energy. So
are we talking like a diet, a meal between heats of lots of carbs or protein? What are we talking about?
Correct, yeah. Well, protein is a recovery food, but it also takes a little longer to digest generally, and it tends to take more energy to digest. Yeah. So, your white rice, maybe some tuna or something, you do want some protein to protect your muscles a little bit, but nothing, even, your shakes, and if you have them, the gels, and if you're used to using them, shakes, again, are easy because they're basically pre-digested because they're blended, and lots of rest. If I could go home, my idea, if I were thinking I were competitive, for example, I came out and I ran the individual in the morning, and let's say I won my age group or I was close to the podium, so I pushed hard.
Yeah, you just did it. In fact, I did it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But you ain't just do it for fun. You out there, you crank, right?
You crank, yeah.
As soon as I finish that, and I know I'm doing the evening, as soon as I finish, I'm going to have a mixture of carbohydrates and protein to replenish. Yeah. I'm going straight home. And if I could get into a little ice bath, I can do that because it's going to help to reduce the inflammation in the muscles. And then I might do like a little mix of heat and cold because the heat brings back the circulation. So I alternate in like a hot shower, cold shower thing for a little while.
You may be more than once.
Well, no, just stay in the shower for a little longer. Turn on the hot water, turn on the cold water.
George said no, go on beer 3 times.
and then if you live in St. John or St. Joseph, that ain't happening. right? So, and then just basically go and relax.
And get
back. Just see if you could even get a little 45-minute lap, because if the naps are too long, you go too deep in your sleep cycle and you wake up foolish, as I just say. So you want to just go through one sleep cycle, which tends to be very restorative, and you get back up and then you prepare for your race in the evening.
We're going to actually talk a bit about recovery between day 1 and day 2 a little later. But I want to remind the people, though, that if you register now, you register for the singles or the team, there is Race for a Cause.
There is Race for a Cause. And again, we want to thank David Sumerick and the Amarone Trust and Fund, who stepped up and come out to help us with Race for a Cause. Race for a Cause is an incredible initiative this year for the Barbados Adventure Race. And, we wanted to do something for the wider community. Yeah. Obviously, with COVID and everything, there are lots of persons out there who are out of work. And because of that, a lot of the charitable organizations that would normally get contributions from them haven't been able to see those contributions. Right. So it's not even necessarily that, we're going directly to these people, but like before, maybe, I had a little job and I was a charitable person, and every month or so I might give the Heart and Stroke Foundation a little $100 bill or a $200 bill for them to do their work. I can't afford to do that anymore, because now I have to keep whatever savings I have left to look after my family, because I don't know when I'm going to. Well, I don't even know when I'm going to work again, right? So what the Amarone Trust and Fund has come and done is like created the Race for a Cause, where they're going to match a lot of the funds generated through the event to donate towards these 3 charities.
Okay, and that's both for the singles and the team events?
Well, individually for the singles primarily. Right. But what we're also doing, we're giving persons who are doing the team event an opportunity to raise funds themselves. So if you hear this podcast and you're like, you know what, I like that Race for a Cause thing, I would like to know how I could contribute. Yeah. You and your teammates, your company, your organization, you can get out there and raise some money. And whatever you raise, the Amarone Trust and Fund will match up to $2,000, I think it is. 2,000, yeah. So we'll match it up to $2,000. So the
maybe giving away David's money. I don't
know. It's not my money, so we can give it away. So if you go out there and you raise $2,000, they'll match it up to $2,000. Oh, nice. Right? And then we put all this money together, and the 3 charities are the Substance Abuse Foundation through the Verdun House and Marina. Heart and Stroke Foundation, and you have it right there, right in front of us, Salt.
Yeah, so you have the Heart and Stroke Foundation here, the Substance Abuse Foundation, and the Barbados Diabetes Foundation.
That's the one. I should know that one, because I actually have a registered charity called Run for Life Events. Okay. And Run for Life Events, our main thrust was diabetes education. So we wanted to, inform people of the things we can do to deal with the disease, to avoid it, et cetera, et cetera. And we've had that charity now since 1998.
Okay, I see here as well, and there's going to be a donation for the first 3. Right. First, second, and third places. The Amarone Trust also going to match the prize money.
Yeah, not just the first 3. So when you go to BarbadosAdventureRace.com and you register for your individual event, and we want everybody to do the individual if you can. So the individual this year,
if everybody doing the individual, then everybody can go and run the teams at the same time.
Right, exactly, right? It's just gonna be random then. But this year, especially for the individual, we have the open wave, and the open wave is for me, the open wave is where we're gonna see a lot of the growth in this event, because obviously we have persons like yourself, Salt, who are looking to podium this year, and then we have people who are like, you know what, I just hear about bar. I ain't got 14 weeks or 16 weeks to train, but I want to go out there and have fun. But I don't want to be stuck on an obstacle or get myself in a situation where I feel like I last and I look bad on the course. And we're like, look, don't worry about that. Let's
definitely don't worry about that.
Yeah, let's sort and then men go and do the competitive wave, and then you do the open wave. The open wave is more, let's call it for fun runners. Yeah. We're still going to give you a time.
People that running with the phone all day.
Exactly. We're still going to give you a time. Yeah. So you could be like, you know what? I want to go out there and test myself, but I ain't really want to be holding back in the body, or I only want to be compared to them, man. You could go and you could run the course as fast as you want, or you could run with your friends.
Stop and take pictures.
You can spend more time on the obstacles to really enjoy the experience, right? Yeah. So when you register, you select a charity that you want to run for. Whether you're doing open wave or competitive, you select the charity you want to run for. And if you place in the event, if you place first, second, or third, for example, actually from 1st to 10th, From 4 to 10, we're going to do 250.
Right.
First 1,000, second 750, third 500, and then from 4th to 10th it's 250 each. Let's say I selected Diabetes Association of Barbados and I came third.
Yeah, Diabetes Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, my 500. That's a $500 contribution towards the Diabetes Foundation.
Oh, nice.
And so on and so forth. And then there's other ways as well where people can make contributions by making social media posts, hashtag Race for a Cause, and tagging Barbados Adventure Race as
so
well.
before you even get out there and drop a bead of sweat, you've already contributed to a charity.
Absolutely. You never have to leave home. you don't
Please leave home.
You're like,
Please
I want to support this venture.
Yeah.
You post a little picture of you when you're in the gym or at home running around your house. I'm here to support hashtag Race for a Cause, tag Barbados Adventure Race, and boom. Now, I will say, don't put it on your stories.
Right, we want it to be on your main page.
Because it's going to disappear, right?
Yeah.
And we won't be able to go ahead and click that hashtag and see everybody who's done it. I know some people spend a lot of time carefully curating their main page.
Good morning, Nikita.
Nikita and the Jerry, them sort of people.
Yeah.
And then they will do the kind of more transient things on their stories.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be able to find it. So make sure that if you really feel strongly about this cause, put it on your main page so we can
Put it on
find
the
it
main
later
page
on.
and make sure you have it up there, at least for the rest of the year. You could probably archive it in 2021.
Correct.
But make sure and put it up there so we can make sure that the charities get their due.
Correct.
So now, between the individual and between day one and day two. So day one, and I'm going on the assumption, now this is, as I said, I was talking to beginners who ran the individual in the morning, went home to rest, they had a hot and cold shower.
Right.
And then they came out and did day one.
Right.
By some miracle, they've but they've come out done day one and they're going on to day two. Anybody know who's doing day one and then has to do day two the next afternoon? What's the recovery like? It's a lot. It's like almost 24 hours firstly, right?
It's almost 24 hours. So yeah, the only caveat I'll say to that is that in November, we tend to start that final heat a little bit earlier.
Right.
And the reason for that is that if you've made day two, we want you to be able to finish the race.
Right, and it's longer.
Exactly. We want you to finish the race. The race is now 10K instead of 6 from the previous day, and it's a more challenging terrain. And so we don't want, like last year, we had to pull some people off the course for their own safety because, some people got stuck on certain obstacles, et cetera, et cetera. And by the time they got into the gully area of Peg, it was getting dark. And we had to pull them off the course for their own safety. I don't want to do that. Right. If people take 3 hours to finish, they get a time, and they have their sense of achievement that they finish bar day two. So we're going to start
a little bit earlier.
Exactly. We're going to start a little bit earlier. So it'll be about 20-ish hours, which is still plenty.
Right.
And I'll say that the most important thing you can do is get a good night's sleep. Try to get a good night's sleep. Sometimes the excitement of having made it day two and the competition and everything can keep people a little bit amped up because of the adrenaline. But if possible at all, get a good night's sleep. And that's going to do more for you than anything else you can do. When you finish, go home, obviously have a good dinner or whatever. Again, plenty of water.
Hydration.
Good hydration. And try to get that good night's sleep. It ain't like you ain't celebrating making day two. You ain't going out in nightclubs.
Drink some beers.
No.
You can't play up on a cruise all night.
That would not be a good night for cruising. Right? And then the next day, again, get up, go through your normal routine, just get yourself mentally prepared, and come out and enjoy yourself. Because again, anybody can win on day two, but there tends to be 5 or 6 or 7 teams that take bar really seriously, and they're the ones who are more likely to be up there. Not saying that you don't try to win, but I think that it's important as well to try and enjoy the experience. Even if you are trying to win, still enjoy the experience because bar only comes around twice a year.
Yeah.
And it's the only event of its kind in Barbados.
And it's only coming around once this year.
And this year it's only once. So, when you go out there and you head down and you pumping and you cussing your teammates because they're holding you back and everybody quarreling and fighting with one another, that's not what we're looking for with this event.
At all.
We want people to come together and bond. The camaraderie that has extended from individual teams to bigger collectives throughout the whole community is one of the things that has made this event grow. Yeah. So that's what we're hoping to keep fostering throughout this event.
Man, touch on another topic that I want to get on, which is the makeup of teams. We talked a bit about it with Amaris and Darren last week. Something that you've been touching on with us as well. I think that all Barbarian and all Barbarian teams needed to find out about is that you make up a team, you might have 3 people who are excellent runners. Right. And you just say, all right, this other person is strong, but they can't run as good. Right. That team then is only as fast as that last person. As a weakest
link, yes. Right. So if you haven't done bar before and you're thinking about it, you can't just run on ahead and wait for your teammates to come. Everybody on your team has to be there before you can start any obstacle or challenge. So it don't make sense looking good for you people at home on Instagram by running fast and going ahead, because when you get there, you still got to sit down and wait till your other 3 teammates come.
Yeah.
So for me, I have seen teams with 4 average individuals or 4 above average, slightly above average individuals do better overall than teams that had 3 superstars and 1 who was not a superstar. And I think what tends to happen is that you have groups of persons who have friends and so on, and it's like, we only need 1 more body. All right, let me get this body who could do the skills, or let me get somebody who's strong. And from the running perspective, I feel try to build a team where people are close to ability, close in ability to each other. Because if I'm the guy who can do all the skills, and I'm pretty good on the carries, and you guys are relying on me for the more complex skills and the heavy carries, but my tongue pull out every time I try to run from segment to segment with you. Yeah. Now my strength is gone, because when I get to that carry, I'm gassed.
So that could happen. So then we got, I would say I'm good at Atlas ball. I would say, but I'm not as fast as the other 3 people on my team.
Right.
When I get to the Atlas ball, it could be problems for me, even though I'm supposed to be the best Atlas ball carrier, is what you're saying.
Correct, because if I'm having to work so hard just to keep up with you 3, when I get there, it's gonna take me a long time to recover my breath. I'm feeling like all my muscles are tired just from the running. So I think when you look at comprising your team, if you have a team where everybody is not close enough in ability, then you have to think about strategy. Now, one thing that I saw last year, which actually seemed to work really well for one of the teams, was actually Amaris's team. Okay. So Amaris obviously is the beast on any team she's on. Yeah. And Amaris was probably...
I was going to ask you who's going to be the man, who's the 2 women on her team this time, because...
No, I'm going to leave you on your own with that, Salt. maybe Mark. But they had Gina Lee Shepherd, who had started running late, was never really somebody who ran at school or anything.
That's why I think that Gina's running has really improved.
Really improved. Exactly. Yeah. But she was jumping in with 3 other people who were really good runners. There was Ian, who was a natural runner. Obviously, we know Amaris. And I think later on in their preparation, one of the guys got injured and it was replaced with Kenny.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. But
so that's okay.
Yeah. So Kenny was the other girl, 18. So what they were doing, since you can split up a little bit between obstacles and challenges, they would always send Gina first.
Okay.
So let's say it was an 8-foot wall or whatever, they would get Gina over the wall first, and they'd be like, you run ahead.
Oh.
And they would let Gina run. Then the other 3 would get over the wall, and then they would catch her by the time they got to the next obstacle. Right, so that worked for them that way. And that's another strategy as well, because it's going to be hard to find everybody.
That we give out that strategy.
Well, I think it was out there from last year. Yeah. But, the thing is, you want to, as much as possible, I think, stay together as much as possible over the course, because it's not just a physical challenge. We had a workout yesterday where we had somebody on. I'm not going to call them out on here, but we had somebody who won segments of the workout yesterday. Yeah. But as we got through the workout, they were starting to wear down mentally.
Right.
And I generally, in my coaching, I tend to do 1 or 2 things. I tend to be either drill sergeant, or I tend to be supportive and loving. Or somewhere in between. And yesterday I kind of went off on them a little bit, because I felt they should know better. You have to keep yourself in that kind of mental frame where you are always positive, because from the time you let that stuff come out of your mouth, you know, as the people say, you manifest it. Yeah. And not only you're manifesting it, but you're starting to affect the other people around you as well when you start to be negative.
Yeah, so that speaks then to the chemistry of a team, then learning your teammates, and also learning. That's to be encouraging. I find that encouraging really works.
Yeah, and generally being positive, I think, works better. But for some people, like I've had coaches over the course of my track and field or rugby career. I have coaches who were you can't really describe them as nice people.
Right.
Right? But my personality, I really don't care. I was more interested in the content. Right. So if I suppose I did a 150 or whatever, or 400, and I look bad, my coach said, George, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Yeah. But then he gives me something positive that I can action to improve.
Right.
I'm all right with that. That's all I want. But
Right.
everybody doesn't respond to that.
Right.
And you don't know that until you've had a chance to spend some time with your teammates.
Right.
And that's why I feel, coming out and training together and, doing a couple of the workouts together is really beneficial, because I might know that you're an elite triathlete. Right. So I'm not worried with Salt and his running. He out there training. I might know Stefan real strong. Stefan's out there training.
Yeah.
And I'm here and so on. But I don't really necessarily know how you're going to react under pressure.
Exactly.
And in certain situations. So I'm thinking these guys are fit enough. We just got to come together on the day. And then on the day, people see 4E rolling around and going fighting because somebody spoke to somebody too harshly and they didn't appreciate it.
Right. Also, I realized too that yesterday, I won't call the name of the person I was doing the log carry with, but it was male and female, and she heard me. I just breathe hard once, and I was like, she's like, I heard that. Time to switch. Right. And that sort of thing then will help with the team as well, because you could tell from somewhere, and I was indeed approaching that red line that we mentioned earlier. Right. But before I could get there, I was thinking to myself, I could probably get to this next point here, but she was like, I hear that. Yeah. And that sort of thing will help you as a team as well. On the day, if you train together, you get to learn. People learn from the body language, find out what expressions they will make, how you can see when somebody head about to drop, and then you know how to get them to pick up their head. Yeah,
and honestly, like that was something that with rugby we learned. Yeah. I used to play rugby back in the day, like a year or two ago. Like I could never understand why you couldn't go straight home after the rugby game. Right. And the guys are like, no, this is a sport where you could get hurt. And you need to be able to, without thinking about it, know exactly what your teammates are going to do, what their personality types are. And you only really get that from building some sort of social thing with them and learning about them. And that's one of the things that's come out of some of these trainings as well that has been really interesting. Nobody don't ever go straight home after a bar session. Yeah. So true. I would like to say that we've only recently introduce water after the sessions. The man would come after the session and be like, "What's in the cooler?" And it was only ever beer, and most of the time it was Banks beer. And now we have Eco Water, the Sky Water as well, coming on to support us. And this is not a shameless plug. It is a plug, but this is actually what I think to be one of the best tasting waters around, and it's so good for the environment as well. So we're gonna say, if you want to go out there and try Eco Waters on the shelves, and we obviously have it in the gym as well.
Right. So so you're coming out and you're doing the training. I think that is one of the things that has really, like last night, we finished training in the daylight, and we left up peg after 8.
Correct. And only because I had to get up early this morning, otherwise we'd probably still be there now. And it really, again, the camaraderie is like people are competing against each other, but they're competing against the course. And it's one of the few sports, and this isn't just bar, obstacle course racing in general, it's one of the few sports where you see people who are competing against each other, helping each other, and encouraging each other.
Even yesterday, after the log carry, Jamal, he was not on my team with the log carry yesterday. He's not on my team in BAR in November. Right. He came up to me and said, "I think me and Joyce, we figure out how to carry this small log a little better. If we do this and we do that." Discussing it with me, so giving me a strategy to try for the next pop-up. And I really appreciated that. Big as yourself, Jamal. I mean, this after he lent him my shirt to training. So it's just a big family there, right? Correct. You get to know people. Yeah,
and actually, I think Jamal is somebody who's doing both the singles and the team event in November. And I want to see Jamal come out, because Jamal is one of those freaks of nature when it comes to natural athleticism. Yeah. Like most of the rigs and obstacles and stuff, he's just like a monkey on them. Yeah. He conquers them really easily. And I've seen his running improve as well. He's very fast. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that men's podium is going to look very different to last year. Yeah. Or let me say the men's top 10. I think it's going to look very different to last year. Obviously, the kind of red herring or the kind of spanner in the works is whether Darren competes or not. Yeah. But if Darren is definitely not in the field, I think it's going to be, I could call 10 names that I think could win that event. Could
possibly be on the podium,
for sure.
Yeah, we don't want to get any further into that, though. If you want to know who George thinks is going to be the top 10, you're going to continue to listen to Barcast. This is where we're going to call it for today. But don't forget, you got to register.
Correct. So you want to go to BarbadosAdventureRace.com. When you register, select the charity that you want your contribution to go towards. And let us, maybe post a picture of your registration confirmation online. Hashtag Race for a Cause. Make sure you tag Barbados Adventure Race on Instagram. It's BAR_race. Tell your friends and family. Maybe go out and do a little drive and raise some money. We will match funds up to $2,000. Get all your groups together. Obviously, lots of corporate entities are going to be doing the race in the Republic Bank corporate race as well. So maybe you go around your office and you raise some money there as well. And let's see what we can do for the wider community, for the Diabetes Foundation, for the Heart and Stroke Foundation, as well as the Substance Abuse Foundation. Let's see if we can make a difference in people's lives through the Barbados Adventure Race.
Go there, register, guys. Don't forget the pop-ups are coming up very shortly.
Correct. October 24th is our first pop-up. We're only doing 2 pop-ups this time around. Yeah. We're going to do an individual pop-up. If you're doing a team event, the individual pop-up still applies to you. It just means you attack it as an individual. Right. So that would be like the rigs that you would not have seen before that you get a chance to try. Because if you're doing the competitive wave this year, rings, rope, monkey bars are all compulsory for the entire team.
Day 1 and day 2?
Day 1 and day 2. Right, for the for the open wave.
You heard it here.
Yeah, first time, right? For the open wave, open wave, you can send 1 male, 1 female. But for the competitive wave, as the sport continues to grow, it has to look more like an obstacle course race. And if we start to send people aboard to compete for Barbados, they need to be able to compete on an equal footing. Yeah. So we can no longer dumb down the event, and then we will have one that's going to be more geared towards team strategy. So like the slosh tube and the 10-foot wall and those types of events. And that one will be, hopefully, we haven't got a firm confirmation on it yet, but they've been very generous for us so far. We just need to get that telephone call, and that's going to be at Bushy Park.
Okay, and guys, don't forget you have the workout. Your week workout is structured like this. Mondays, you have the advanced rig. I can't even call it rig anymore. It's an advanced workout.
Correct.
Because there is rig work involved as well, but George has also started, because adventure races, obstacles, carries, running, and we get all 3 of those on Monday, both for the advanced, we don't really call it advanced, but the people that are in the further block.
Correct.
And for the intermediates.
Correct.
Because they're no longer beginners.
Exactly. And Tuesday we repeat that workout for the intermediate beginner group. So we call it phase 2, phase 3 group.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, if you've done Monday, you've done the rig. Wednesday you go outdoors, and this last block moves to peg. So you should be, by November 21st, 22nd, you should be very comfortable with PEG Farms and Nature Reserve. Yeah. So we're going to be on PEG on Wednesdays for that block, and then the advance is there on Thursdays, and then we have the intermediate and advance on Saturdays.
Anybody that couldn't make it during the week, because to tell you the truth, it's good to get at PEG. You get to see what time the sun is setting up there and that kind of stuff. So we've realized that at PEG, you have to start during the week at around 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah. 4 o'clock is a Saturday and Sunday.
On Saturday
Saturday and Thursday, yeah. So we want to, again, say thanks to Paul Bourne and Peg for welcoming.
Very generous.
Absolutely. We used to be up there. People like saw until all sorts of hours at night.
Yeah.
And in case he doesn't even argue about it. Instead, he gets on the lawnmower. He's cut on the grass for us.
Yeah.
And they've been very generous with their space. So if you're going outside of the bar training times, they prefer for you to come and check in. Right, rather than just remotely people place like you order. Go check in. I think there's a small contribution you can make towards upkeep of the place. I think it's $15. And if you go and you eat something in the restaurant, or you buy a crate of eggs or whatever, that they don't charge you. So just make sure you check in, let them know you're there in case something happens while you're in property, and just pay that little respect, because they've been very, very generous for Barbados Adventure Race.
I also want to thank Be Social Podcast. They have been very generous to us as well. Thank you very much, Stefan.
Correct. And we're going to call it out here, because, if you put it out in the atmosphere and we put it out in the the universe, it has to happen. So Be Social is going to put together a team for the corporate challenge, and we're encouraging them to, make it, show what you guys can do on social media. Make it a fun thing. Join the fun wave, the open wave.
I think so.
Get 4 people, post, share, get some good video content. You heard it here, people.
And that goes out to you too listening. If you're not necessarily a barbarian, you get 3 of your best friends, and you come out and do the open wave. Stefan
used to be an administrator in sports in Barbados, so he's going to organize it.
Stefan said he played dominoes for Barbados. Guys, we're going to say goodbye here. Thank you so much for locking on to the Barcast for this week. We'll be back with more episodes, more information, and of course, more entertainment for you right here at Barcast.